So this has been a long time coming now. For many years, I've been fantasizing about recording and sharing some of the fascinating conversations that take place when I talk to people. I really have to thank my university program, Arts and Entertainment Management at Capilano University, Vancouver, Canada, for the opportunity to dedicate a semester to working on this podcast, and also a very, very, very special thanks to my soul brother David. Without him, this would not be happening. In Talk to Warlock, I will be having conversations with people about everything: life, why they do what they do, who they are, why they're here, what they want, what they think, and then take it together somewhere meaningful through honest communication. I love sharing ideas and talking about all kinds of topics. Some of them may include relationships, culture, philosophy, psychedelics, health, society, gaming, reality, the human condition, food, nutrition, agriculture, exercise, science, metaphysics, God, love, and sex. Of course, this is just a small list of things that come up often in my conversations, but we may talk about literally anything. In today's episode of Talk to Warlock, the recording starts right after me and David got into a very deep conversation. We were using an analogy, as we often do, this time inspired by poker, as I've been involved with learning poker recently. We used the concept of folding in poker, which is when you give up by throwing away your cards, therefore ending your turn. To use as an analogy for giving up in life, committing suicide, and starting a new turn with new cards, or reincarnation, so to speak. This leads us into talking about the often hard to anticipate dangers of success, especially when it far exceeds any expectations, and becoming mainstream famous, and the ordeal that comes with it. We bring up examples of people who became famous from very little or nothing, and suddenly having to face that. We talk about the legendary Dave Chappelle turning down his $50 million deal with Comedy Central Network and going to Africa just to come back to Earth and reground himself. We talk about Justin Bieber's epic rise to insane mainstream status at a very young age with no prior experience or much exposure. We talk about how Joe Rogan's experience with fame may have been influenced positively by his martial arts background and being very disciplined, amongst other things. The topic of addiction is also brought up naturally, as it very much relates to the theme of success and fame, and getting addicted, whether it is to internal things like power, status, or attention, or external ones like achievement, drugs, or possessions. Please enjoy the first episode of Talk to Warlock with the great David Jonsson.
Well, we were talking about, we were basically talking about meaning in a general sense, and you described this fold button analogy of
Life and suicide, yeah.
Yeah, when you see that there are no outs. And we had a conflict of position where we feel differently about it, or maybe we don't really feel differently about it. We have different perspectives, and I think you see my side, and I think I see your side, but I think your side is
Hard to relate to?
no, it's just I just see it as sad.
Sad? Yeah. Like, what do you mean?
Like you shouldn't.
I shouldn't need to feel
You
this way?
shouldn't live that way.
Yeah.
You shouldn't feel like you have to do that.
Yeah.
That sounds like torment to me.
Yeah,
And
man.
what I was gonna say when you asked me like why I don't talk about it nearly as often, is because I do have that as well, but I see it more so as a future thing. And I was gonna tell you about the.
What is the future thing?
Well, I was gonna tell you that and I've done this a lot, is I fantasized about the most perfect life that I could ever have, where I have everything I could imagine.
Okay.
And if I still feel like this, now I don't feel like that the same way. But this is how I used to think. When I feel like this, it would be like I'm a hollow shell. Like there's, this depressive depression.
Yeah,
stuff.
I don't feel hollow. I feel.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But this is the way I imagine it. Like if I had everything and I still feel like this, then I could easily see. Like if I was, I had the best partnership imaginable.
But how?
Kids that are amazing.
Is that really
everything?
Is that really a scenario that like you can imagine for yourself? Like, because the only thing that means to me is that you're so. Like when if maybe this is really harsh. Yeah, I feel like you're stupid if you end up creating a life that is exactly what you want, but then you're empty. Like that means that it's not what you want. It's not the really life that you should be working towards, right? Because I feel like if you're that empty, then that's not. You're not really going after what really fulfills you as a human being, right? Personally.
No, but if I imagine that I'm a great musician, and I have great success in that, and I pursued my academics to a level that I never saw possible for myself, and I've done all the things. My bucket list is empty. My list has run its course, and I still feel like this darkness,
Yeah, I don't think the darkness goes away by tackling these things. You probably bring light into the picture, very much so, but I feel like the darkness almost has to be tackled itself, which you are doing, and I think that has more. I think it has more meaning. Yeah, but more meaning when you face that and you try to deal with the darkness rather than bring in the light. I think that's not a very good physics. Not a very good physics analogy, but like.
I get what you mean. But I see it like if I were to obtain all of that, I would need to do so much work, and the work in and of itself would
to attain that. You mean?
It would almost force me. I don't see it being possible. Me being, we did this sledgehammer, like the blacksmithing analogy of your own self, like you're hammering ruthlessly and smithing yourself into an effective tool in life.
Yeah.
Without mercy. I don't see that I could do that and reach those things. I think that those things are unobtainable unless I develop a certain light or a certain.
I think a lot of people get caught in a. I think if you really look at the world, what you see is a lot of people that feel some edition, some version of something like we're describing, and then they try to break it, and as soon as the dam breaks, all the water comes flooding in, and all of a sudden they're being carried on this current of success and people pulling them into new places. Like, all of a sudden people want you to perform in America and Sweden and Norway and everywhere in Europe and everywhere, and all you have no time to do anything other than keep playing and just basically it's like you're crowd surfing your life. You're just, everybody's just carrying you and you have no power. You're just like, woo! It's like this fucking current of just insanity, and then all of a sudden you find yourself like 5 years later, you're like, what is my life? Like, what the fuck is my life? What is even happening to me? What? There's nothing in this other than this. People have just been dragging me around for the last 5, 10, 15, 30 years, and I've just been writing. I've just been, I think most people get caught in that. Most people get caught in that. It's extremely rare that somebody doesn't caught in that. That's why when you have examples like Dave Chappelle, who as he's crowd surfing, as that wave comes and the dam breaks and the current takes him, and he's like, holy shit, millions of dollars and millions of people are just calling for me everywhere, and there's this deal with like $100 million with this network that want me to just do one more Dave Chappelle show, but they wanted to do it their way. And it's like, and he stops and he's like, no, actually, no. I'm gonna just leave this and go to Africa by myself and forget all of this. Do you know how hard that is to do? Like that is one of the most difficult moves to make as a human being. It's like when you're watching poker and you see like a disciplined fold. That is not just a disciplined fold. That is like the disciplined fold. It's like you're folding 3 aces because you think that there's a straight. You have pocket aces and an ace comes, and you fold 3 aces because there's a chance that like a straight is there. Like that is the most disciplined fucking fold of all your life. But that fold saves you. That fold is like you're playing for your chips in the tournament. And if you played that hand wrong, then you were out. You as a person were out. And I think a lot of the amount of people that make that mistake is endless. Probably Bill Cosby got caught in that. I don't know what Bill Cosby's story is, but
I'm thinking about the classical. What is it? 26, 27. What's the age? 20. Maybe it's younger.
yeah, 27.
Club of
Yeah.
Kurt Cobain. And
Yeah,
these guys
yeah.
That pressed the fold button at peak success.
Yeah.
Peak. Absolutely.
Although there's a lot of
global sensation.
there's a lot of like rumor conspiracies that they get killed. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how his girlfriend would get him into that fucking shed or whatever.
I have never looked into it, but yeah.
But
if you were just to take that as
we were talking about that. Yeah. No, I can see the successful wave of it making you realize at some point that you've sort of screwed up, and some people they're gonna feel like they're at a victim of that circumstance, and that they're powerless to change it. They embarrass themselves too far, or
it is
whatever.
So hard to play around with them, man. Like you either have to end up super dark. Next level and really like evolve past seeing that as like the meaning of your life, like a Rogan or an Oprah or I don't know, maybe Jim Carrey. But Jim Carrey is kind of weird. It's like I think it hit him a little too hard, because he's an even more insane level of you know, being he's almost like a Michael Jackson of comedy at some point, right? And he was like just an explosion, and everyone wanted to be a part of that. And then he like, I don't know what he did. It seems like DiCaprio is also doing something like that. Like people always talk about DiCaprio starting these foundations and staying away from people, and he just kind of does his own thing, and it's very hard to like get a hold of him, stuff like that. Like I don't understand what these people exactly are doing, because I don't spend time trying to.
I don't see the public admiration for these types of positions.
Yeah,
it sounds like hell to be that successful.
Yeah, no, for sure.
The shit that Eminem talk about all the time.
Yeah.
So many famous people, not him like specifically, but
he's really good at expressing because he's a rapper, right?
Yeah.
It's a very good form of.
Yeah, he's a writer.
Yeah, he's a really good artist.
Lyricist.
Yeah, exactly. So he puts it, and it's like, I think at a certain level of that, it becomes hell to be either one. Like it's probably harder. It's like, or almost equal, not harder, probably easier, but probably almost as hard to be that guy that then becomes the Rogan, or then becomes the Oprah, or then becomes the Jim Carrey or the DiCaprio, and or Chappelle, and then leaves, right? Because that fold, there's so much pain in that it's almost not much better than just going along with the emptiness of it. It's like, and you get to live in pain. Like people don't. The public doesn't like that, right? When you leave the crowd in the peak of the party, and you're like, I can't do this anymore. The crowd is upset. They're like, what the fuck, DiCaprio? What the fuck, Dave Chappelle? Come back here. Everybody's so mad at him, right? They're like, what the fuck, dude? You could have done it some different way. You could have done something else. You could have, like, why do you just leave us? Why do you just do it like this? It's very, very, very dark, and it doesn't seem like it's very easy to get away from that. I think you have to
the money portion of it seems to be like a driving factor for these people. The stresses that are related to their success with other people that depend on them, well, managers and event coordinators and people that you need to be in close relation
like a
for
giant,
to have gigs.
like a fucking entourage of people, a fucking
you know,
tribe,
you
small
know,
tribe of fucking people. Yeah.
I saw.
But Russell
when I was
Brand,
work-
isn't Russell Brand a really good example of that? Like but I don't understand how what happened with him exactly. It feels like he
I
stepped.
don't know either.
It feels like he stepped away from the money. It feels like he relinquished that position and then started from his own zero. Again, but he didn't try to do the DiCaprio Jim Carrey thing where he kind of like maintains it but then steps into like at the side. I don't know. That seems really hard to do. Rogan does that too. He's still Rogan, but he's not just crowd surfing. He's like doing his own thing, but he's still in that position. It's like that must be so incredibly hard. And I have such an admiration for Rogan to be able to maintain that. I don't think people understand how difficult it is to maintain something that is that big and not have it either fuck you up or fuck up your life or something. It's so hard to not, because I am absolutely sure that there are people that are like, hey, bro, I will come on the podcast. I'll pay you $1 million. I just want to promote the next Avengers movie. And he's like, no, you know, like, or something like that. Like, I'm sure he gets so many things get thrown at him that he has to, that are extremely tempting, that he has to say no to, right?
Yeah.
I can't even imagine. Because he has one of the biggest platforms in the world. So, like, the fact that he just keeps doing what he's doing, like, oh, we'll just have Duncan Trussell on, we'll just have Joey Diaz, and then we'll have some fucking nobody scientist that I really like, and then we'll talk to some comedians and some... like, how? How does he keep being Rogan? How does JRE stay JRE after 1,000-something episodes? Like, that's not easy. That is so hard to do. That's like Faker staying Faker after winning Worlds 3 years in a row. Like, the fact that a human being is able to do that is so rare.
And being exceedingly successful in 2 additional endeavors, you know, like with the fucking UFC commentary.
Yeah.
Like, not anybody gets to commentate those fights. And also, like, the fights that draw the most eyes, you know, mostly. I don't know if it does the most, maybe boxing. I don't know. But it's a huge organization and he's successful in that, and then he has the comedy. I don't know.
He could probably get involved in so many other
it.
things. Yeah, he could probably get involved in a million other things that he could be successful in that he's not interested in.
Yeah.
Probably could get into making cars and selling them, or
it's probably not half bad at hunting, which he's really into.
yeah, no, for sure, he's probably way better than a lot of people.
He's people with Steven Ranella.
Yeah, he's not.
People like
he's not
masters around him as well.
Yeah. He's not in the top 0.1%, but he's definitely in the upper 5 or 2% or something.
Yeah, no, I've thought about it a lot. But what sort of, not only what fosters the type of person that becomes successful, but the one who stays rooted and doesn't become bloated and loses themselves along the way. It's really interesting. He has so many supporting structures around him that I don't know if he's created them all himself. I mean, in a way he has, but they've also been granted to him by luck. Other people haven't met those types of people. They end up being really lost and young and successful, and it's too much, and they kill themselves.
Well, I think
they go down a really bad route.
I think he had an eye for it in the first place. That's why he kept them there. I think a lot of people do meet those people, but they push them away, man. They don't keep the Eddie Bravos and the Joey Diaz's and the Ari Shafirs around because they are not on the same level as him, and so he helped them get to a level that is somewhat relevant to where he is. But without him, they almost wouldn't exist in the public sphere, almost at all. Like Joey Diaz, I don't think Joey Diaz might even be alive without Rogan in his life. He would be and if he is, he would be a very different person right now. I don't know where Joey Diaz would be. And so he saw the value in those relationships, in those friendships. I think it really meant a lot to him. He wasn't just crowd surfing. He never did. He was never fully caught in that.
Yeah.
He was smart enough to not get caught in that. But that's because his success was gradual too. He didn't out of nowhere just Justin Bieber, right? Like that's such a different. That's way harder.
But when I look at
slow.
when I was just gonna relate to what we came into this with, because when I was relating it to that fold button with myself versus the way you feel about it, having it in your pocket all the time. I don't see it like I have it in my pocket all the time, but I see it. It's like it's a thing I'm just gonna hit inevitably in the future. I'm gonna walk into it. Like I can't see a future, or I couldn't see. It's different now. The last few weeks.
Yeah.
But I didn't used to be able to see any other thing but just a huge fold button that is my future that I would walk into, no matter what I would have, no matter what I would do. When I've exhausted all of my options, when I've fought all of my wars, when I've amassed everything, and I still feel the same. Like if I did, that's why I said like I look so much into it. The successful people that I look up to, how they got it, how they developed, and
Maynard has a very strange version of the thing we're talking about.
Maynard is a super strange version, but he is also a strange person.
Yes,
like.
But I think he kind of
really
did.
Cool,
he kind of did the same thing. He
really cool.
he like got there, but I think it's way easier when it's gradual. Like it's like Rogan didn't immediately become Rogan. It took decades of slowly rising, and then over that time he got to. I guess not. I guess I'm wrong.
You could define his success
I guess
from
as soon as
sitcom days.
Yeah,
and stuff
yeah.
like
No,
that.
I think you're right. I think as soon as you look at news radio, he was he was on some wave.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it wasn't.
Money.
Yeah, you're right. But it wasn't Justin Bieber. Like he wasn't like this cultural sensation that was getting pulled around in every direction. He wasn't Kurt Cobain, right? But
yeah.
And I think he slowly he is that now though, right? And I think it really helps that he got to go in steps. I think it's really insane to think about somebody like Justin Bieber. That is such an insane thing to think about. Like you're just a person, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, boom! Billions of dollars, millions of girls, like shit is like life just rains diamonds on you, and you're like, what the fuck just happened? Like, how is a person supposed to deal with that out of nowhere? That seems so insane, and it's insane. It's amazing that he is able to maintain a human like core inside of him. I don't know what he's dealing with. I don't pay that much attention to him, but I
don't either.
But that seems like one of the most insane ways of getting there, right? Is he 27 yet?
Yeah.
I don't think he is.
No, I don't think he is.
Justin
I think he's younger
Bieber.
than me.
Justin
I'm
Bieber.
27. I think. Am I not?
He's
Pretty
born
sure I am.
94. He's older than me. He is 24. No, he's 25. His birthday was March 1. So he'll be 27 in 3 years. We'll see how long. You'll see if he can pass that.
Yeah.
I can't believe he's a little bit older than me. That's like younger than you, older than me.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that. He's like our age. He's like our peer group. And the fucking sky just opens like a deathly rain of time.
It would fucking suck to get that so early, because it makes it so that you have to very much make it up as you go in terms of relationships and people and their
everything.
actual intentions
Everything.
and what they
Yes.
actually enjoy about you
Yep.
and if they
And you're too
even
young
do
to
enjoy
really
you.
feel it that well. Like it's very hard to like you're not Rogan, right? Like Rogan had different kinds of success. He was a martial artist, which is a very it's probably why he's able to be the way he was, honestly. That discipline, that practice and that method of really working with yourself. I think that is probably the reason why he's able to be the way he is, you know. Those other people don't have a thing that they can lean back on. I don't know what Eminem leaned back on. I think Eminem leaned back on his love for his daughter more than anything else. I think without his daughter, Eminem would have died probably. I don't see how he would. I don't see how he would hold on to his life without something to grab onto. It feels like that's what it meant to him. It feels like his daughter saved his life. At this point in the conversation, we took a break as I went to grab a snack. You know what's hilarious? I just realized that in Arabic, there's no word for fridge. The word fridge in Arabic means freezer in Arabic, and the word freezer is just freezer. We don't have a word for fridge. We call the fridge a freezer, and we call like in Arabic, and we call the freezer in English. What the fuck? That is actually retarded. You know, speaking of being stuck, man, I've been trying for a very long time to move towards what I see as like a healthy relationship with weed, right? In my mind, which is a place where like how most people drink socially sometimes, something like that. Like you do it sometimes. You're not. It doesn't pull you. It doesn't push you. You're not bound to it. You don't try to push yourself away from it. Like, oh my god, I can't smoke and like it's bad to do it. Like why can't I just have a normal, nice relationship with that thing? And it's like that is one of the hardest things that I've ever tried to do in my life. It is so hard. I don't understand why. Like I did it last week. I smoked a bit on the weekend with Julie. I smoked a little by myself. And I didn't smoke the rest of the week. But now I want it so bad right now. So badly.
Why?
It's like a thing, like a craving. Like I want it. Like it's like a, you know, it's like you haven't smoked and you just want to smoke. Like it's a thing that's pulling me. It's like so hard to get away from that.
Yeah.
It's so hard to balance that out because I really like it. I really want it. But I know that there's all these negatives associated with me doing it all the time. Money-wise, health-wise, if I smoke too much, I feel there's some negativity from that. Lifestyle-wise, I don't have the same interest or energy to like really follow through with a lot of things. And it just takes time from my day to like go and buy it all the time because it's not that close to me anymore. So it takes like an hour and a half of my time to like go buy it, and it takes more time. Just the smoking, the rolling, the whatever stuff, going outside to smoke. It takes like hours of my day just to smoke. Like, is that really worth it? And it's like it's not worth it if I do it all the time. It seems like I'm robbing myself of something, but it's so hard to do that. I don't know why. Like, why is it so hard to just have a nice relationship with that thing? Maybe because I'm like maybe I'm thinking about it too much. Like, I don't know how to get away from that.
Isn't it hard to do it? It's like breaking any habit. It's very difficult to train patterns. Especially when they have such a powerful presence, like altering your consciousness in a way that you perceive as being positive. because then it has a whole different annotation to it rather than a mundane neutral thing.
Yeah.
Like, this is actually a thing that makes you feel good, right?
Yeah.
So then it becomes even more difficult. Breaking a habit in and of itself is difficult, but when it makes the habit itself makes you feel good, then it is difficult. It just takes commitment
So
and time.
you think if I just keep doing it the way that I want to do it, it will eventually become my pattern?
It will surrender to your pattern. Yeah, I think it will surrender to your
And what?
to your
How long
to your
do you think-
updated will of it.
How long
to
do you
your-
think that might take?
Anywhere between maybe up to 3 months. You'll have to fight with it.
So you think if I do that for 3 months, then that will become my new pattern?
Yes.
Yeah, you
Well-
maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. Because I've done
Yeah.
that where I smoke all the time for years, like not like consistently, but on and off. When I use it, that's how I use it.
Mm.
And yeah, maybe that's why. Because I've done it so long, so it's hard to get away.
Maybe it's such a hard and great pattern that it might need more time. But I think you'll see a difference in the amount of pull it has on you after 3 months.
Because
of
then my brain
commitment.
just realizes like, okay, we're not gonna smoke in the week. Just relax.
Mm. Yeah, more so.
Okay. Okay, man. It gives me hope.
I think you should have hope, man. I think it's really cool that you're exploring that rather than just saying no completely when it's something that you appreciate, and in moderation it could be really cool.
I think the
be
drive
able-
for it, if I were to push it, would just, I mean, any psychoanalyst would tell you what you push away, it gets you, right? I can very much see that. Like if I were to push it away very much, it would, whatever it is that is at the core of that would come back to bite me in the ass very much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I have that in me. I have that that like obsessive thing that wants something to quell it. And that's gonna have to be something. Whether it's exercise or food or something. Like I have this burning fire and I have to use that on something. Whether it's my work. If I get to work 16 hours a day and just burn myself out. Like I have so much drive that I will burn myself out no matter what I engage in. Even if it's a balanced lifestyle, I will make it so balanced that I will burn myself out balancing it.
If that's true, then you could actually assign pretty cool, like you could design, especially with your profession, like a project schedule rather than a job.
Yes, that's
Like
what
if
I've always wanted.
You could work. Yeah, you could if you work in projects, then you can really allow yourself to be unhinged and do something really cool
Yes,
for a sprint, for a longer sprint.
that's what I really like doing.
And-
Absolutely, you're describing
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
and then you could sort of chill and recuperate and do the other things you want to enjoy in between projects. And you could put on just as much work as you feel like you need. Like if you feel like you could handle 2 projects at once, you could do that. If you're your own, that would be cool. Rather than just biting the sour apple and living life like everyone does, mostly, or most people does. It's just take the deal. Like people work 9 to 5s. I guess I have to work 9 to 5s, although it doesn't fit me. And then burn yourself out when you're middle aged and fucking have all these issues. It's really cool that you design a life around yourself. that you've already set in motion years ago.
I think that's kind of what we talked about in the beginning of this conversation. Is that I like I would I the reason why I can do that, and I think the reason why a lot of people do end up like the way that I want to create it is because they feel the same thing that I feel. They feel like they would die if they were to live that life. If they were to give up on living the way that they want, they might as well just die. And that's why they don't. That's why they fight to the death for it. That's why they take risks. Like, oh, there's a small chance that if I move away from my parents and start this business, that it will succeed. Or I could just go to school and do the normal thing. And it's like, no.
It's like a peak experience.
Yeah.
They induce it.
It's the facing of that reality of like, okay, I have to either face death and the potential of failing absolutely, catastrophically, or I have to face guaranteed death and die very slowly and doing something that I see no meaning in at all.
Doesn't have to be that romantic though. Dramatic.
I think in a lot of cases it is though, and that's why people do it.
I don't think it. No, I mean, yeah, that is a thing you can do, and that is a fairly like concrete way of doing it. It's an all-in a way. I don't think you need to do an all-in in all of the situations where people have done that.
From people,
I also
think
see
if
that,
that
I also
comes
see
from
that
a really
you
from a genuine place and you really feel that way, more often than not, I think it does something positive for your life. Because even if you do end up failing, it's never the way that you. It's almost never the way that you imagine.
It's gotten you somewhere.
Yeah.
You've moved.
Yeah,
somewhere.
yeah, and then you're like, wait, I actually have the potential to do all these other things now, and you start from there.
Yeah, no, but I just see I see also at simultaneously I acknowledge that I think it's really cool when people take the leap, but I also see the work. I see the work like on yourself.
Which is what?
I see the realizing your world is in shambles and it's not as the way you want it, and it's never gonna be the way you want it if you keep doing what you're doing and then not going in, all or nothing, but let's change out the relationship I'm in. Like I realize the relationship isn't very good. It's toxic. So you move away from your girlfriend and you get your own apartment, and then you see like, okay, so what am I doing? I'm working a job that I don't enjoy. And then you sort of see what other opportunities there are for you. And if you don't see any opportunities with your current whatever position or geography, whatever education, you can sort of build these steps for yourself to make a foundation to a life that would be fulfilling and would make you happy. That isn't an all-in move. It's like you just this gradual. It's the work. You put in the work, but that takes so much. You cannot have the life is meaningless and it doesn't matter if I kill myself. Look, and do that. Like those are the polar opposites, or almost.
I think they're very. To me, it seems very close because it's like the life doesn't mean anything. It's just part of the fold bun. It's like, okay, I'm gonna do this thing because I think that it means so much. But if it doesn't work out, then that's fine. Like I just accept.
Yeah, no, I don't mean. Okay, I don't mean that the polar opposites in that way. I don't mean that way. I just mean that I don't see a person that would put in the work and that simultaneously feel like they want to kill themselves. Like that's like two conflict of interests. That's who I am. It's like one says.
That's me.
Yeah, but that's. I don't know. Not the way that I describe it. Maybe. The way that I describe it, it would be more.
You keep
consuming.
I think you look at the fold button as a give up, which I don't. I don't look at that like you have to give up something, or it's like a surrender, or like it comes out of this defeat. the way I look at that is just it just comes out of not hopelessness, but like acceptance of. I almost see that as something beautiful, in the sense that it's like, well, life is awesome. Other people will get to have their chances. I really tried, and it's cool. It's like you're a seed that is like, okay, this forest is not where I want to grow. I'm gonna go with the wind, and the wind puts you down the fucking desert. There's nothing, and you're like, okay, I guess that's what happened. But like, some people have to make those leaps. And it's like I just tried.
I think it sounds like I'm the harshest person, super close-minded, unempathetic.
No,
when I
that
say
sounds like what.
that those. I guess I am unempathetic in a way to those people.
No, I just look at
I
them as
relate-
like
I
Luffy,
feel
right?
like
Like Luffy is
just
living like
relate.
that. Luffy is this person who sees his goal and sees this beauty in life and knows what he doesn't want to do, and he just goes for it. And it means a lot to him. His friends mean a lot to him. His journey means a lot to him. But he's like Roger. If when the moment comes, he's like, yeah, I lived my adventure. Like that, I chose this path. I have no qualms about it.
That's not what I heard when you described. When we talked about it before, that was not what you were describing to me from my perspective.
Yeah.
Because from my perspective, all that you said was that if my life isn't, if my life isn't perfect, then I don't want to live it.
That's not what
It's like
I
if
don't know why you keep focusing on it that way.
Because
you're
we
trying,
talked
I think
about
it's
a
because you're
concrete
trying to
thing.
relate it to how you would feel, or like you're trying to relate it to your situation in some way. I don't think it has
because
anything.
we were talking about my situation, and you were sort of putting yourself in my situation, and you said you would never wanna, you would kill yourself.
Yeah, but
if
that's
you
what
lived it
I
the
keep
way that I
coming
lived it.
back and saying that that's not what I was trying to. You miss, or I misrepresented what I'm trying to say. I don't mean that.
Because in the analogy with Luffy would mean that he would never be able to be anything like Roger if he had that outlook. Like if, you know, if he couldn't go through harshness, if he couldn't go through hard times where things are really challenging and are very much not the way that he wants it to be, he would never be able to develop the kind of character that would be anything to stand in the face of the thing that he admires.
Mm-hmm.
That he and that's what I meant about the. You saw that, yeah, with the like, you develop this piece of consciousness that, yeah.
Yes, but I think in some part of him, he still accepts that it might not work, right? And I think that's a critical and very beautiful element of it. I really admire that. I really admire the acceptance of that, because that acceptance is what lets you play with your life easier. It's like you when you're playing poker, you don't feel like this stack is everything you have. It's like you're not that attached to the stack you have, so you just play right. You just when the push comes to shove, you can play with it. You're not like, oh no, I can't, because this is like when he has to save Robin, or when he has to save Ace, he basically died. Like he basically died for them, but like stayed alive. Like he played with it, you know. He it's like you play the poker and you went in so deep that you're basically dead. But he like lucked out the last card and like stayed in the hand somehow. Like he basically just died. But it didn't. Somehow deep inside of him, he felt that if he were to stop he would never be who he wants to be. And I think that's very meaningful.
Okay, but that speaks more to my point, I feel, than it does to your point.
I don't think they're as far from each other as you make them out to be.
Maybe I get really annoyed at when I perceived you to say that what I basically just saw you as being really weak-minded. If you were to be in these types of situations.
Yeah, I think people could look at that as being weak-minded. Like if Luffy, there's this moment where really early on in the journey, Luffy is about to get executed by Buggy. Do you know what that is?
No.
It's a very, very cool moment where when they first arrive to Logtown, the town that is right before the Ground Line, and they meet Buggy, you know, the clown guy, and he's there, and Luffy gets up, he gets caught by Buggy in these sea stone cuffs, which take away his powers, and then he's on this big tower. And Buggy is like, he is literally about to kill Luffy. Like Luffy's basically dead. And then out of nowhere, like his father comes and like throws thunder and like breaks the platform that he's about to get executed on. And nobody has any idea what happened. Like he doesn't make himself known. Nobody realizes why that took place. But that moment, right before Luffy is about to die and he's about to get his head cut off, he's smiling from ear to ear. That's what I love. like that is the beauty of it to me. I don't view that as weak in any sense. I think
I don't view that as weak either, because that's the I did it my way. But that's not what I see. I see it as being in a situation that's really tough and that you don't like, and towering through it like a force to be reckoned with, to come out the other side as an amazing person.
no, of course that's like you're describing like the fights, like he's fighting, you know, Lucci or somebody, and he's like on the verge of death, and he's like, it's like it's so harsh to keep going, and it's like, is this still worth it, or should I just give up? I think that's kind of closer to what you're describing, and I think those are very different
but
situations.
I don't see, yeah, but I don't. They are different, but with the way you describe it, with having this thing in your pocket at all the time, as you're so close all the time, that doesn't sound like the platform scenario, more so than it does just sad. It just sounds like you need comfort and, like, you know,
Healing.
it sounds, yeah,
Yeah.
that's so sad.
I understand. I think they're closer than you make them
It's
out
beautiful.
to
It's beautiful that it has granted you the ability to perceive these things and really absorb them into you, and you're gonna be able to use them, like the things we just described about the battle and the platform,
Mm-hmm.
the execution and the fight.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful. But that it's so available, it's unnecessarily rough, or like not rough, like the shouldn't need to be on the balancing string at all times. That's I know.
I think but isn't that what Luffy's life is like? Basically, in the sense that, like, he's that close to being in front of unescapable death. Like, every time he puts himself in those situations where he's very close to death, he's very close to that moment on the platform where he's about to get executed, and he just accepts it entirely.
I guess I just see a grander idea of what that would entail in real life, rather than it being, I don't have the life I want. I can't right now figure out a way to make the life I want, therefore I'm gonna end it. Instead of, I see it like, no, I'm not just gonna give up. That I'm just not. I'm not creative enough. I don't have the. I don't want to be so entitled to think that I have made up all of the possible ways that I could make a cool life for myself. And that's why my thing was that in the future, if I had depleted all of the things where I would be at my point of I'm not creative enough. I guess I actually feel exactly the same way.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to say.
It's
just that your
just
thing is like really far away that you've made for yourself, and I don't have a thing like that. Like there isn't like this distant island that I want to like reach, and it's like, okay, well, until I reach that, then we're still kind of, there's not much going on. Like I feel like the road is the island. Like I am where I will be, and if like it can only change so much, because I don't have this view of the external world being that relevant. Like that's kind of why I was trying to express that the dealing with the darkness directly is like the thing. It's not trying to cover it with this light on top of it. That never seems to work with people.
No, but I saw what I tried to explain was I think that for me to reach my ultimate life would mean that is included in it, like inherently in the things that I would
see
have
it as
to.
your ultimate life in terms of like experience.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. You're saying, let me see if I do. You're saying that if you were to, the way you look at it is that if your ultimate life has these factors that you see as potentially being like one of the coolest things that you could have, and if you were to, even though they're super far away, if you were to walk all the way to those and get those and have them in your life, these things that you view as like the coolest things, and it still feels fucked up, then you feel the way that I feel. Something like that, right? And what I'm trying to express is that I don't think that things on the outside do anything.
No, I don't think so either. I don't mean that having a great house would make me happy,
or being a cool musician,
a successful career,
anything
would make me happy. Is that the road that I would not physically, but physically, through time travel to reach those points, I would have to develop a character, a trait.
But do you? I think you could just focus on being successful. No, like an athlete.
No, that's what I meant. That's what I meant before. Like I don't believe that I could, with my vision, could do the smithing, like the blacksmithing of the perfect tool, like mercilessly.
I don't think you're that far from it. I think you just have to do what you're doing a little bit more, and then hit the right crack on the dam, and the whole thing comes crashing down, and off with the current you go. You're not gonna have to make the tool that breaks the dam yourself. I don't see it being that far away from where you are. You're like looking at it like this martial artist.
Wait.
Okay, but
no,
I
think you have a narrow view of what my vision for my future would be, because it's not.
The way I see it is that you're saying that in order for you to ever get there, in order for you to ever have this thing that you look at as like your black belt in life, that you have to go through all of the other belts to reach it, and that journey of developing yourself in order to get to that black belt will then have made you a different person. And I don't see that at all. I think it's very easy to do the right move at blue belt and instantly be black belt, and then that's it. You're off to the races. You go. You. It's very rare that people, through their own work,
to real life.
Yeah, it's almost.
Maybe
it's almost,
if you're lucky.
It's almost.
If you're lucky.
But that's how it works with almost every single person. It's almost never ever the case that a person drives themselves up that mountain all the way every step. Almost never. I think almost every single time you walk a certain distance and then you hit the right spot and then it just goes.
Yeah, but I have other role models other than like Maynard and I don't have any scientists, do I? Do I? That I really look up to?
Sagan?
Like that I would want to be as?
Sagan, no?
Scientist? Like a Sagan, like a Carl Sagan type person? Like, I have other role models beside them that is more in dealing with the... Maynard is a cool thing, because he's a musician, like a masterful musician, which like which sort of is a thing in between the inner and the outside, because he culminates something, he catalyzes something, and he expresses it right to the outside. He uses that was what I was gonna mention to you when you first went in to do the food, is that the reason why I don't feel that way anymore is I'm sort of talking like as if I'm still depressed, or I have this view of my future. I don't, because I see that through art I can use the feeling that you describe of the button, the things that would make me press that, and I could use them and express them, and I can see the value in expressing them.
Yes, I agree.
Not only egoistically, but also maybe I make something cool that people can relate to and see, and like, oh, like.
Oftentimes that's what happens when people get over that mountain. If they do it and they don't crash on the way down.
Yeah, but he is a cool role model in the sense that he has, it's a both world kind of thing. But then I have, like Ram Dass.
How would you feel if Maynard killed himself? Would that be like a tragedy in your worldview?
Like tragedy in the sense, like, I can't believe he did that.
Like that would shatter like something that you look at, like it was almost like a person that realizes that Jesus doesn't exist.
No, not at all. I don't think that I'm okay. I'm not him. I'm not saying that I'm not saying that
you don't
art
think that
is
would be crazy?
Wait. No, you took it now as I said that art is an exchange for suicide. That's not what I mean.
No, not at all.
But they sort of deal in the same area where of emotional registry where you can use it.
No, I'm just saying because Maynard is like this what you're describing is like a model, like somebody that you look at and you're like, this person is doing something the way that I want to be doing it. So if that person then commits suicide, and with all the things that you want, would that be a tragedy in that sense? Like what the fuck?
No, I've already gone through with that. That's what I meant. Sorry, sounds so circular. But what I meant before was, if I had everything I could imagine and I would still be unhappy, that would be him, and I would kill myself.
So then wouldn't that enforce that view?
No, I already have that enforced with other musicians.
Okay.
I already see musicians and people that I respect that are in those positions and that kill themselves.
Okay.
But I see like a pattern in those people that they.
I don't think they ever stop to really face themselves. The ones that kill themselves usually just end up riding the
I don't see like Ram Dass killing himself now. Unless it was for like to end his pain or something. But like I don't see.
Yeah, but Ram Dass never. Ram Dass had a.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but Ram Dass is facing himself. He's aware. He's not.
Yeah,
he's not a.
Yeah.
The way that when I
but
look.
But that's what I mean. That's the conjoining thing, that those people. They feel like I felt about like my past shit and things that I've gone through, and that I feel like, oh, I've worked on it. I've put in hours. I've checked the fucking.
Yeah, maybe
I've done my check marks. I've gone through my list and I've done thousands upon thousands of work. I've put in my hours.
But I think
and I'm still unhappy. But it's
so
different.
Strange when you're in the face of the light, right? When you're still. I think it's very different to try to do that while you're staying. What is that guy called? Chris? The Linkin Park dude. Chester.
Yeah, Chester
something.
Bennington.
Yeah.
I think it's called Bennington.
Yeah, I think you're right. So, like that guy, he never really tried to step away.
Yeah.
I don't feel like he ever. Maybe I don't follow his life enough, but it never feel like Dave Chappelle'd it. He never like just like, I'm gonna stop this and we're just gonna go to Africa by myself and figure this out. I don't think he ever did that. Maybe that step is like insanely hard, like we were talking about before. Like that kind of step is like insanely disciplined fold, like of the situation you're in to restart from zero is insanely difficult. But like, I think unless you do some level of that, you're kind of still stuck regardless of what kind of work you do, because that light in front of you is so blinding. Like you don't, it's too much.
Yeah, I don't know anything about his circumstances, mental state, or anything. Same with the
other guy.
Same with the audio slave.
Yeah.
Chris Cornell.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know.
Apparently,
about
he was on medication stuff that has that as a side effect.
SSRIs and shit.
Really, yeah, that's really tragic.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I didn't. And you understood that, I guess. I didn't mean that it replaces it.
No,
but my ultimate view of it would include that aspect of it. Like my ultimate view of myself has that included in it, the inner work, the working with the thing that I see. What is his name? Aubrey Marcus. Do that. Like he is really cool in that way.
Yeah.
I see him as really working on his darkness and his.
But he Dave Chappelle's like Dave Chappelle's every 2-3 months. Like he's like, okay guys, put everything on pause. There's this giant $1 million company that I'm running that is like in its like peak uprising, like it's blossoming. I'm gonna take a break, go do some ayahuasca. I'm not scared to fuck with myself. I'm not scared. He's not scared to fuck it up. He's not. He's doing the thing that I was describing before. He's Luffying it. He's not sitting there like, oh no, I can't do anything now because if I die, then it's all gone. Like he's like, the only way to do it is if I put myself in those positions. If I stop being who I am now, then this all goes away. Even if it stays here.
But I see that, yeah. That's cool. But I see that as being different than from sitting in your room when you have no success and seeing a life that you're unhappy with, and just ending your life.
For sure. I don't view that as myself at all. I feel like I'm. A lot of the things that you describe as your own bucket list, like of like going through it, I've already gone through mine. So that's why I feel the way I feel. Like I've already gone through most of my bucket list. There's not much left in it. Like there are things that I would find interesting, but I don't really have a bucket list left. I've already done the things that I think are cool. Maybe that's strange.
But no, it's not strange. But I don't know. I feel like
maybe I'm wrong. Maybe if I were to really do that, if I were to really like become this teacher character that I have always wanted to become, that's like the one thing that I've never really. That's the one thing that I've wanted that I've never gone, in terms of like bucket list.
Krishnamurti.
Or any of them.
Sadhguru.
Any of them. McKenna, fucking Watts, anything. I don't like Watts' model as much because I feel like it's very difficult seeing from Watts' position how you would work with individuals after. But I guess I can see that too. Like maybe somebody comes up and they're like, well, I'm still worried about life, and then you would work with them about like why they feel worried, and you work with them as individuals and stuff. But I feel like I really like this, like, I don't know what it is. I think Ramdas is one of the coolest ones, or what's his name, Ibn Pagan. He's super cool. He's very, very. It's like if Rogan were to become a teacher, but he doesn't have the time. Like he's so focused on himself, he doesn't have the time. I mean, he is a teacher to his close friends, right? That's why Duncan and yeah, but I think that's why Diaz and Ari and Duncan have a piece of Joe inside of them. He's mentored them throughout their life. They are, in a sense, his students, in some level, and I think that is like the coolest thing. But like, if he were to dedicate his life to that, and he is, but he just does it through the podcast rather than it's like indirect teaching rather than direct teaching. And I like both. I really love Joe Rogan's thing where he works with people that he really finds some essence in. But I also feel like Rogan, maybe that's his way of like staying who he is, but like I feel like he dedicates so much time to other things than just that. Like I feel like if I were to be in Rogan's shoes, I would dedicate more time to working with people that are less close to me. Not just the people that are in my immediate circle that I select, which I'm doing already right now, like with you.
Define working with. Like he's gonna be some sort of advisor of
like
life.
If the people that email you that are in weird situations, that are like, hey man, like I'm super depressed and I want to be a comic and I'm doing these open mics and this is what my life is like. I'm sure he gets a billion of those emails. But
yeah, but I think
he doesn't have.
Sorry.
It feels like from his position, he's focusing on other things like hunting and comedy and UFC and training and Sober October and all these podcasts and UFC and million things. And it's like if I were to be in his position, I would try to skim some of that out of my life and put more energy into directly working with people that aren't.
But I think you're right to that those things
make him who he is.
Are the things that makes him who he is, that makes him grounded.
Yes, I agree. Because I don't feel
and
the
also,
same instinct
and also
in him that I feel in terms of really like having that be the one thing that he really wants to do is work with individuals. I think.
Yeah, and the podcast, I think he does work like that in a sense, like you said as well.
Yeah, very much.
Yeah.
He brings on people like C.T. Fletcher and David Goggins, and you get to see that, right? That's why we have exposure to a lot of these things that we're talking about right now. Half of it is coming from that podcast. We're talking about Duncan and Joe and their relationship and how people lift each other up and all this stuff, right? So he has done that, but it's indirect, and I really love that very much. But I also really like the direct model, like me and you work with each other. I love that very much, and he is doing that with his very close circle. But I feel like it would be perfect if he just widened that just a little bit. That's exactly where I would want to be. If he just widened that a little bit. But maybe that's like impossible. Like I don't.
Yeah, I don't know how logistically how you would do that in a really good way.
That's why,
where it's actually.
Yes, that's why Indian gods are always drawn with fucking 90 hands and shit like that.
You know, I don't. Yeah, this thing with like how would he have?
How?
He's been mentioning like how he really tries to cut out.
Yeah, he's
more
already
people.
doing too many things.
Yeah.
He already feels like he's stretched too thin. So yeah, I don't know. I think the reason is because he has kids. That's probably something that takes the most away from his life. That's why I'm so scared of having a family, is because I don't want it to. But at the same time, it feels like that is what he. That also feels like a core part of who he is and what makes him who he is. Man, I wish I had that on my phone so I could talk to you and go to the store. But fuck, whatever.
Yeah.
Just stuck in this fucking microphone. But
we can end it real soon.
Yeah, but I'm probably. I really want to go buy weed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a fucking noob, dude. No.
No, you're not. Just you do it. You know.
What am I supposed to do?
What is that thing? It's a thing that they say to people in rehab, because people in rehab, it's very common to have relapses.
Yeah.
And they say something. I don't remember what the fuck it is.
Every time you quit,
nice.
every time you try to quit, it like gets you closer to quitting or something. But I don't want to quit. Like, I don't.
No, but it's not about quitting. Okay. It's about getting a good relationship with it.
Okay.
It's about having a healthy relationship.
Maybe
not for people that do a strong fucking heroin. You just need to get a good relationship with heroin.
You see, that seems so hard, right? Like, why? Why is that so hard? If you could probably do heroin.
That's such a physical aspect of that too,
like, if you could do that once every 2 months.
And cocaine.
If you could do that once every 2 months, you'd probably be just fine. But how many people? What does it take? What does it take? How much willpower does it take to just do that? And is that really worth it? I think that's why people quit, right? It's because even if you do that, even if you do it once every 2 months, the rest of the 2 months, it's all consuming. That's why my problem is, right?
But are the people that are doing heroin like the most amazing, super disciplined, cool people in the world? Maybe there are a few of them, but most of them who do heroin are probably in a ruts. They are the ones who's trying to get away from things, that are trying to numb things down, to feel happy when nothing else makes you feel good for just an hour, for a short period of time, when life is empty and cold and merciless.
Or just victims where get into it with weird situations.
Yeah. But those are the vast majorities, the people that you and I, that's the
like
vast majority of people.
Junkies,
and to then say, like, why can't people have good relationships with it if they're just, well, those people don't have the same.
Like if we were to have, it's like alcohol, right? People look at
opportunities
alcoholics. People look at alcoholics. They're like, alcohol is garbage, but it's like, because alcohol is free, it's very easy to see that most people that drink are just fine. But if you make alcohol illegal, the people that are going to go through the effort of getting it are the people that really want it. And those people are not going to be the people that look amazing on the outside. And that's why a lot of drugs look so bad to society, I think. Like crack and meth and heroin and stuff like that. It's if that shit was over the counter and you could just go buy it like at the liquor store, you'd probably see a lot of people that are very healthy users. I'm sure you would. I'm sure that
you would also see a lot of people that are also not healthy users.
Yes.
But you would
probably somewhere in between,
sure,
like people, like a lot of people in our culture today, right? That drink a little more than they should, and they're kind of fucking paying for it, but they're not completely like giving their life to it, right?
Off the rails.
Yeah. Like there's the
I don't know.
I think the 10 out of 10 alcoholic that just drives down the fucking mountain like no brakes, just fucking goes, and then there's people that are like. They kind of take steps back and forth, you know, like they're 2 steps back, 1 step forward, 2 steps back, 1 step forward.
The argument, I guess, against that is that the threshold of frequency of a user for heavy, like dirty drugs, like heroin,
alcohol
and these things
alcohol is not as debilitating,
way
right?
lower.
Yeah. You could still function while you're on alcohol. It's basically impossible to do that on heroin. You're never going to be able to drive or
but
job
I mean, like
anything.
in terms of creating a habit, an addiction, in terms of developing
it's more intense,
a crutch in life. It's way more intense. So the threshold of getting, you know, the threshold that you need to.
It opens you up so that the good feeling is rise up. But heroin is like the good feeling itself in a syringe.
Right? Yeah, exactly. So you
this conversation makes me want to do heroin.
Wait, yeah, but that's the thing, right?
That's the thing, like, right?
It's not true. It's like
the rat experiment. That's one of the best studies we have of that. Best models. It's like, even the ones that are super addicted, once you get them out to a nice world, they're like, okay, we're just gonna drink water now. Fuck the coke. We don't need the coke or sugar or whatever it is that we're doing. It's like insane.
I don't know that study. That sounds amazing.
You don't know that study?
I just know about Skinner box. About rats
here's the really insanely study. It's called Rat Park, something like that. And the study is that they have these rats that I think they did like these tests where people who are showing that rats get extremely addicted to coke. So the first experiment was done they had these rats in cages with water and coke or something like that, and they pressed the thing, and every time they press it, either water or coke comes out, and the guy showed that every time that they put rats in a cage like that, they end up pressing the coke until they basically die. And it's like, well, rats are, you see how deadly cocaine is. And then another scientist came after that and was like, okay, I'm going to put the exact same taps with water and with coke, and they can press the buttons, but instead of them having them in these depressive cages, I'm going to basically create a rat Disneyland. And he brought these like males and females, and he put these wheels and these like rat toys and awesome things, and created basically a park, like a rat park, like a Disneyland for them. And then he put all the rats that were already addicted to coke, like they were on that slope of going towards death. They were already addicted to coke. He put them in the rat park, and they all quit, and they started just drinking water and then just playing with each other. Never heard of this?
Yeah, no, I've never heard of it. I've heard about the Rat Park. I didn't. I thought it was more about rich stimuli environment versus stimuli
No, that's
poor
yeah.
environment and brain development and cognitive.
No,
Like, not
it's
cognitive
about this.
function, but
That's the essence of it. Is the guy made a study with the coke and the in the cages, and the guy was like, but these, it's like exactly what we're talking about. Like these are the really depressed, fucked up situations. They're stuck in this rut, and then you give them this like out, and then it's like that's.
I'm reading about
yeah,
it.
it's really crazy.
Yeah, it's cool.
So-
They say as a side note that they have made other studies that have mixed results. That there can be genetic differences.
Yeah, of course, it's not gonna
But-
be
but-
like this
but they have,
utopia of fucking ultimate shit. But it's just an
No,
insane.
but it's interesting.
Very interesting. It's a very telling study about psychology, right? And
Yeah.
that says so much, and it's very clear that people that are stuck in very poor, very very bad situations with no outs, are the people that abuse drugs, and people that don't as much, not to death.
Yeah, and that they also go down the staircase of heavier and heavier stuff because you get. Not only do you get what is it called when you use something often, it has less of an effect.
Tolerance.
Like, yeah, not only do you have like issues with tolerance with these, like not as dangerous drugs, but you also. You need a higher,
I think you
harder kick.
you don't care about dying when you're in those places. So you're like, okay.
I don't think you initially. Maybe initially you.
Yeah,
do,
yeah, of
but
course. As you get down that
you-
path, you're like, okay, I'm just
Yeah.
gonna surrender to this. This seems
Yeah.
like a nice way out.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man.
Cool, bro. All right, let's end the recording.
Thank you for fucking. It was cool.
Yeah, I thought about what you were saying before. How do I pause this?
You just.
And that concludes the first episode of Talk to Warlock, the first of many yet to come. If you made it this far, just know that I'm absolutely thrilled that someone was able to get through that whole thing. I really hope you got something out of that conversation. It was definitely a meaning one for us. If you liked this episode, or didn't like it but somehow made it this far, and you're still listening, have any comments, thoughts, or questions, please get in touch on any social media platform. Just look up Talk to Warlock on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, etc. Or if you'd like to, send an email to talktowarlock@gmail.com. All the music in this episode was written and performed by none other than the upcoming god of music, David Jonsson himself. David goes by Hallucinogen on SoundCloud. You can find his page where you can listen to some of his stuff that are mostly works in progress at the moment in the link in the show notes. I leave you now with a beautiful little creation titled A Sound of a Thing.